Hello and welcome back to Lorcana Villain. My name is Baker and today we will be taking a look at the top 8 deck lists and associated information with what I believe is our biggest constructed Lorcana event so far. This was at the convention OctoGônes, as Google has told me, in France, and this was 128 players, which, if I'm wrong, I will say I'm wrong, but I believe that's our biggest single tournament so far, so it's the biggest pool of data we have. Straight off the bat, our information today comes from the Mushu report, as you can see right here. Make sure that you're following the website. They have an X account and all that lovely stuff. So go and show them some love for Lorcana news. But yeah, they have managed to give us an exact breakdown for all of the players and all the decks that they were playing. So if you want to skip straight to top 8 lists, there's a timestamp for you, but we're just going to take a look at a bit of the surrounding information. So yeah, like I said, it was 128 players in France constructed. So yeah, after Swiss, this isn't the final placements. This is the standings after Swiss, and there's our top cut there, which was very useful to know because there's an interesting observation about a couple of the deck lists concerning these two. But we'll get to that. So if we look at the overall pool, the meta in this particular tournament was dominated by Ruby Amethyst and Steel Amber. 21.67% representation, but Steel Amber going ahead with that 57.31% win rate as opposed to a 48.47 rate from Ruby Amethyst. So those were definitely the big decks going in by quite a wide margin. We do see some love to Emerald in both the third and fourth most represented slots, one with Steel and one with Amethyst. And yeah, then you can see the full list there. I think I've got that's a better one to be looking at, a zoomed in one. But I will link this in the description down below if you want to take a more thorough look at the exact colours and all the percentages. But yeah, I thought this was definitely worth taking a look at. And these were our standings and the colours they were playing after Swiss. Yeah, so it's really nice to get this full block of information. So that's really good to know. But yeah, let's hop straight in and take a look at the top 8 deck lists. So I've got these sort of in an order. We've obviously got first and second place and then top 4 to top 8. But yeah, first place, Landstark. I apologise for some of these names that I will murder, or some I just won't even attempt. But we've got Landstark with some Steel Amber songs. Most of this straight away looks standard. The only song I see missing that I would expect sometimes to see is Part of Your World. But let's take a look. So we've got the 4 Hook, 4 Ariel, 4 Tinkerbell, 4 Rapunzel. That's something in a later list. That Rapunzel we got to talk about. 2 Hades, which we've seen recently, which again is another reason to not really need the Part of Your World. Part of Your World is a song, so you are denying yourself like an extra potential target, an extra hit from Spectacular Singer Ariel. But overall, I mean, Hades is a body that you put onto the field as well. I think running both is probably good, but, you know, either or is probably also fine. And, you know, they won, so there you go. They did very well with it. 4 copies of Rapunzel, 2 Hans. This seems to be quite a common count, either 2 or 3. Landstark is the only... There's a lot of Steel Amber in this top 8, and I think they're the only person playing a 4 count of Beast. Most of the others are 2 or 3, so something to note. The winner was playing the full count, even though there's only one Ruby Amethyst list that made top 8. As you can see, it was representing so much of the field. So I'm sure those 4 beasts did come in handy. 2 Cerberus. I'm sorry, I keep getting this wrong. Cerberus. It's a good card. We got 4 Tinker, yeah, and Cerberus does come up a few quite a lot in the rest of these lists as well. 4 Big Tink. We got the 4 Surfer Stitch, and it's worth noting that not all the Steel Amber lists are playing the full Stitch package. Are playing the Surfer Stitch. They are instead playing a more wide Stitch package with the Rockstar. But we'll get to them. 3 Fire the Cannons, which I think is the right count. 3 Smash. 4 You Have Forgotten Me. All the way in on that. Just wanted to see it to consistent. I think it was 7 rounds as well. Yeah, 7 rounds. So just wanting to see it consistently and make the most of it. 4 BRGS, 4 Hakuna Matata, 4 Gravity Sword. So most of this is pretty standard. There's nothing out here that jumps out to me as particularly dashingly unique, but that's not a bad thing at all. This, like, it's doing the job the Steel Amber songs wants to do. Nice high counts of everything other than Cerberus and Hans, but I think those are reasonable lower card counts. 60 cards, so yeah, congratulations to Landstark on doing so well in such a huge field. So yeah, first place list, love to see it. Next up in our second place slot, we do have that one Ruby Amethyst. Even though it was not very commonly represented in top 8, it still did well enough to get to the finals. So let's take a look. We've got the 4 Archimedes. So yeah, like we're seeing a bit more leaning Ruby Amethyst leaning towards a 6/1 drop count, and other decks leaning towards 6/1 drop count as well. But still, just with the 4 in this particular list, we see the 3 Broom and then just 1 Mickey later on, which that's like, again, if you know my channel, you know I don't think Mickey is really necessary in Ruby Amethyst, but I can see an argument for just running the 1 copy. I think that's fine. So if you are going to run a Mickey, I think just 1 and 3 Broom are the correct count. So I really like to see that. 3 Elsa, I think that's the right count as well. Of a card that is, some people think it's just like, oh, an extra shift target, but that freeze ability for exerting just comes in so invaluable. 4 Maleficent, we got a big investment into Rafiki here. 4 count, which we've seen those Rafiki counts cropping up. They started pretty evenly at 2. And yeah, like then we were seeing 3, and now we're seeing commonly, no, I want 4 of them. Which again, if you are running the 4 Rafiki, then there's less need for the 6/1 drops that I go with. We do see the 3 Aladdin. Which again, I really like Aladdin. It's just that extra Lord Dinar. We see a couple of Ursula later on in the list. Turns on your turn 5 shift into Big Aladdin. I think this is perfectly fine to cut, to either go down to a lower card count or to replace with something else. But I think this is a preference call, and I totally respect Aladdin in here. We talked about the Mickey. We've only got 3 copies of the Queen and 2 Shield of Virtue later on. I would have liked the 4th Queen there. Like personally, that's probably one of my Aladdin cuts right there. 4 Queen, just 2 of the baby. But again, that's just my preference. 2 Goofy, which I think is fine. You know, we are seeing Goofy a lot more common. It's terrible English. We are seeing him more often in Ruby Amethyst lists, and as of late, we're seeing a bit more Pongo, but no Pongo here, just the Goofy. And we do see the 2 copy of Brave Little Tailor Mickey Mouse later on in the list as well for some more evasive. 4 Mal, we've got the 2 Ursula. Again, I've ended up, I play almost exclusively Ruby Amethyst. And as much as I love Ursula, I truly do, I ended up making her a cut just because I think Ruby Amethyst already wants to play so many high-end cards. So it was just more of a consistency cut for me. But again, every Ruby Amethyst list we're seeing in top 8 pretty much is near enough is running Ursula's. And it still doesn't, even though I have decided to steer away from it, it doesn't surprise me. It's such a powerful card. 4 of the Aladdin, we got 3 count of Elsa, which I think is much better than, I think 4 is really greedy, to be honest. Even though, again, we're seeing a lot of lists where they are running 4, I still think it's a lot. We talked about the 2 Mickey, 4 Maleficent. We've got 3 Befuddle here, so again, extra protection and reasoning why you wouldn't want to run the 6/1 drop, so that's fine. Only 2 copies of Dragonfire, which I really, really like. We're seeing a lot more lists lean towards saying, okay, I actually only need 3. Especially when you're running Brooms and Mickey. But I argued not long ago that I actually think you could get away with 2. And I did drop down to 2 at one point, and I'm running 3 Brooms, no Mickey in my Ruby Amethyst. And it's this card count as well, or between this and 67. I did finalise on, I think it needs to be 3. Mostly because it was big tinks, early big tinks that were just so common. And I just found I needed them more. But I totally respect 2 Dragonfire. I think that's perfectly fine. 4 Friends, 4 Be Prepared. We talked about the 2 Shield. And then we've got the 2 copies of Mirror and Pocket Watch, which I like to see those both at least a 2. Although, to be fair, I think 1 Mirror is fine if you're running a full Queen lineup and probably at least 3 Shield. But no, I really like these counts. So no, this list looks really nice. The uninkable count is 17, so that's perfectly reasonable for a 65 card deck. And just again, we are seeing Ruby Amethyst that are just running 60 cards do well, but we are still consistently seeing those 63, 65, 67 numbers doing well. So is that a sign that it is just time to accept that this is a card game, that it is okay to preferable to run a higher card count depending on your deck? Or are these just early results, and as the game develops, this will become less common? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But yeah, congratulations to Medezo. I'm going to attempt on a 2nd place finish with a fantastic Ruby Amethyst list. Next up, I don't know if 3rd or 4th place, but the top 4. And this list is actually very similar to the 4th place list. We have some Steel Amber songs again, but it's an aggro version with Rockstar Stitch, as you can see. So we've got the 4 Making a Wish Lilo. Yes, I didn't say Making a Witch. Go me. 4 Stitch, only 2 Captain Hook, which, alright, I mean, Well, let's get to the end of the list. We've got 4 of the Simba, we've got 4 Eric, 4 Ariel, only 2 of the Baby Tink, which I think is fine. Only 2 Rapunzel, and yeah, there's another list coming up later, which is only running 2 Rapunzel. So, an argument. I'm not saying it's my argument, it's just a perspective I'm putting on the table, which is that your main draw engine here is, you've got Whole New World, and you're also running Rockstar Stitch. We don't see any of the Surfer. Only see 3 of the Rockstar, but we see that nonetheless, and we see some 1-2 drops. Although not a full count of Hook. And some of these decks run extra 1 and 2 drops, things like Goons and stuff, just to have more targets for that, but we don't see that here. But I suppose if your thought trail is 9 times out of 10, I want to go Whole New World by turn 5 or Stitch turn 4. And maybe there's also something to be said for the fact that more people are learning how to play around Rapunzel, and sometimes it's less live just because of that. And maybe the thought trail is, okay, well, I'm probably not playing Rapunzel until later on in the game anyway, so I only need a lower count. I don't know if that's a great perspective. It is a perspective which I can see parts of making sense. I still think I'm always running the 4 Rapunzel here, personally. But there's another list that we're going to see later with only 2. So let me know your thoughts. Is that just fine because you're playing AWOW, A Whole New World? I know AWOW doesn't work, but it's just my reaction every time I see A Whole New World. Wow. So I call it AWOW. Yeah, is it just fine because you have those and Rockstar Stitch? Is that just perfectly fine? Or do you think that should still just be the 4 count? We'll see. Anyway, going on, we've got the 2 Hans, only 2 copies of the Beast in here, which I think 3 is probably the magic number, but again, the 1 list running 4-1, so that's got to tell you something. 3 copies of the Cerebrus, 3 Stitch, 4 Big Tink, 3 Smash, the full count of You Have Forgotten Me again for the Dirtbag points. I don't apologise. And I feel like one when I play it. Be Our Guest, 4 count, and then, yeah, 3 Whole New World, 4 Grab Your Swords, and 2 Lantern. Yeah. Congratulations to them, did really well. Yeah, it's the Rapunzel that's really throwing me off. And I'm not sure if Whole New World, even at only a 3 count, like, again, there's not many uninkables here, but I do wonder if Lantern as well, having Lantern as well is making their first few turns a bit less consistent. But they did well, they got to top 4, so yeah, Morgan, congratulations to them. Next up, and this list we will reference another list as well for a reason. So it's very similar to the last list we looked at, except we've got the full count of Hook this time. We've got the full count of Baby Tink. I think that was only a 2 count on the last list. Full count of Rapunzel, 3 Beast, which I think is right. 2 Cerebrus and 2 Hans. Only 3 Stitch. This time we do see the 2 Surfer Stitch. So most of these counts are pretty much the same as the before one, except so it's You Have Forgotten Me's and Rockstar Stitch, which is the only real card difference, and then just a few counts of difference. But something I want to reference on this particular list, if we go back and look at the top cut, so that's this person whose name I'm not even going to try and attempt, and they played this person whose name I'm also not going to try to attempt. And if we skip to their list is pretty much the same if we look throughout. Like, there's going to be differences there, but that looks pretty much copy for copy, except this person is running 62 cards, and then this person is running the 63 cards. So I would love to know if this game came to deck out in any of their 2 or 3 games that they played. And I'm wondering if just that 1 card count made the difference. I mean, again, they both decks are drawing cards in other ways as well, through like Rockstar Stitch and other Stitch and Rapunzel and things like that. So that's going to skew it slightly, but I'd be really interested to watch those games. But yeah, I think that was definitely worth noting that those 2 lists went off against each other, and they're pretty much identical. But the 162 cards, 163 cards, and this person won. So yeah, congratulations to them. We now move into our 5 to 8 slots, and we have, I'm definitely saying this wrong, but DD Falcon is one of the best things I've ever said. DD Falcon, love it. We've got some Amethyst Emerald. So we've got the 4 Olaf, 4 Pascal for that early cheeky questing for evasive, 4 Flynn Rider. We see 3 copies of the Genie, and we don't see the other Genie in this Emerald list, and that's fine, some don't. But yeah, interesting. We see the Megara, which, again, I suppose is probably, a way for you to, on turn 3, hit 5. So that's interesting. But yeah, I like the Mega in this to go with the Olaf. It can go with the Genie. It can go with anything, obviously. So yeah, nice little math fixer, and it can be like your opponent will play in a certain way where they don't think it's possible for you to hit a certain number, and then this can come out of nowhere if they're not expecting it. So if you're playing against Emerald, you really should always be thinking, be prepared for the Mega, be prepared for them to change their maths. We've got 4 Maleficent, only 2 copies of the Rafiki here, 4 Cheshire, 4 Jasper, just 1 copy of Peter Pan for that evasive. And yeah, I suppose it's more... Well, no, to be fair, we've also got the 4 Tinkerbells as well. But yeah, just 1 copy of Peter Pan himself, so just an extra evasive character. 4 Hans, 4 Kuzco, 4 Hatter, 3 copies of John Silver. I'm seeing... This is another card. I don't think it's quite on the level of Genie, which is, I think, the most undecisive among Lorcana players about if it's necessary, and if it is necessary, what the count should be. John Silver, we generally see 2 or 3 count. Just 1 copy of Befuddle in here, and we've got the 2 Rafiki. We've got lots of ways of dealing with Simba. And again, in the mirror match, sometimes it's nice if you go second. It's nice just to be able to put them back a turn so that you eventually win the race. So lovely, lovely, lovely. 4 Friends and 3 Mother Knows Best. So yeah, list looks... We've seen similar. It's only the Genie that stands out as being hugely different. But yeah, no, DD Falcon. Love it. Congratulations to them. Next up, we've got Zundo with some Emerald Sapphire. So this is a list where we've got those 6 1-drops with 2 copies of the Duke of Weaselton 4 Flounder. We've got the 4 Grand Martala, which is another, like, some people are moving away from it. Sometimes you just see it as a 3 count, but we see the 4 here. 4 Philatites, which I really like. Philatites puts in so much work. That's another one of my most underrated cards when I first did my set reviews. 4 Mickey. We've got 4 Kuzco and 4 Mad Hatter. We don't see any of the, like, stuff like Flynn Rider or any of the really lower level questing stuff like Jasper or Cheshire Cat. None of that. This is just ramp with response to aggro, and it just wants to get to that 5 mark so it can start putting down Kuzcos, Hatters, Maleficents, which is still a 4 count. We see 4 Genie in here, 4 John Silver, and then we've got the Robin Hood for some more card draw, 4 Hades so that we can just remove things, which I really like this style. I think Sapphire Emerald, I think if I haven't played Emerald in a while. It was the first deck I picked up because it was my favourite. When I first read all the cards, I was like, Emerald seems like my style. And I still like it, but I haven't played it in a while. But I think if and when I am to go back to it, I think it would be this style with blue, more mid-rangey. Yeah, 2 1-jump ahead, 4 Mother Knows Best, 4 Let It Go, and that nice high 4 Eye of the Fates count. So yeah, this looks very annoying. And yeah, I definitely think building Emerald more as a mid to highish range is a good way to go. So yeah, congratulations to Zundo. Next up, we've got some Sapphire Amethyst, 63 cards. We see the 4 Archimedes, 4 Dr. Vasilier, and we do see the 2 count later on of the shifted version. 3 Grand Martala, 4 Maleficent, 4 Rafiki. Again, we're seeing it's much more common that people are all in on these Rafikis. 4 Mickeys. We see the 4 Bell, which, you know, like that's just an extra as far as I'm concerned. You look at the rest of this list can win in multiple ways, but Bell just like later on in the game when they're not expecting it. Yeah, I like it. 4 Queen, only 2 Aurora, and then only 2 of the Maleficent Uninvited, and then only 2 of the shifted Facilier. That one I agree with because it's uninkable. We'll come back to those counts. 4 Robin Hoods, big 4 count of Ursula, which yeah, I like in this style. I really like this Sapphire Amethyst deck. It won, can't remember which tournament, but it was a deck that I ended up trying out and doing my own upload of, and yeah, I really like this style of deck. We got the 3 Elsa in here. The last one didn't play the Elsas, but this one is 3 1-jump ahead. I think the previous list wasn't playing any, and I put in 1 because I was like, it's just nice to have, if you don't hit Mickey by turn 3, it feels really bad. It just feels too slow. So it's just nice to have that extra access to 1-jump ahead. I still think that a 3 count is high because this deck still does have a fair amount of uninkables. But we see it. We see 4 Friends, only 3 Let It Go, and 1 Cauldron. So in principle, I really like this list. Player preference, I think I would just like to switch some counts around. So I'd like the full Aurora count. I think if you're going to play Aurora, go all in. It's such niche situations you want to see her. And you want to see her next to your Facilier and all sorts of stuff. So I think I'd like that at a full count. Only 2 of the shifted Dr. Facilier is probably right, but there's an argument. Like, I'm probably going down to at least 2 Elsa regardless. But if you're going to play this Facilier route, which is why you've got the 4 Rafiki, you want to see them together a lot, I'm probably finding a way to make that a 3 count. I think just 1 or 2 1 jump. 2 is fine. I think you go with 2 1 jump. I'm probably cutting a 1 jump ahead, and going to the 4th Let It Go, and then I'm probably cutting 2 Elsa for 2 Aurora. I don't know, maybe like at this point I'm probably thinking, oh, do I really want to play Belle? I'm probably going a slightly different way, but this deck went a different way to the way I'm currently narrating, so you know, did really well. I like it. I really like the style of deck. I think I'd like to see a few counts mixed around, but again, they went 7 rounds, made the top 8, so they did very well, so congratulations to this person. And last but not least, we referenced this list not too long ago, the player that lost to the one running a 63 card version. Most of this looks standard. We only see the 3 Simba. We do, again, okay, no, it doesn't look standard. We see only the 2 Rapunzel, but again, answer me. What do you think? Like, is that just fine to run 2? I just think it's too good to not run 4, and you want to see it often, but yeah. 3 Hans here, only 2 Beast, 2 Cerebrus, 4 all the way in on the Stitch, but with 1 Server Stitch as well. Smash, Be Our Guest, all the whole new worlds. The earlier list was only playing 3. We're seeing a lot of that 2 count of Lantern as well. So, yeah, this looks pretty standard. Again, it's just that Rapunzel. That's the one that's baffling to me. But let me know in the comments. Have I missed the train? Do I need to catch up? Is playing for Rapunzel so 2 days ago? Let me know. And that's it for our top 8 deck lists for the OctoGônes Convention. 128 players, our biggest pool of data so far. Which of the lists was your favourite? And I have various questions I have put to you that I hope will be answered in the comments. All these lists will be linked down below if you want to go try them out yourself. If you're brand new to the channel, please hit the like button. And subscribe!